Sure. So if I don't ask you guys this question, I'm going to get tons of emails because I'm not asking you guys this question. So EQOA did have one last expansion pack that didn't come out. There's always echoes of saying, oh, it was 90% done or it was completely done. Is there anything that you can share with all of us about the expansion, whether it be classes or
there you go
new race?
The underfoot.
No way.
Bald, right? I totally forgot that.
How about that?
Look at that.
Good for you, Bill. I have the list. I didn't have the map. Or
Yeah.
I had that, yeah.
So this was the underfoot. It was going to be a completely, the design goal for it was the largest dungeon ever created, basically. Like basically a classic old school Dungeons and Dragons type dungeon that spanned the whole world and was set up in all these different zones. And then I had that, and then I had...
So one question, with this new dungeon, was this seamless too? So you literally have like a cave entrance or something like that where you just walk into it? Or did you have to like go to Freeport and take a boat to get there? Or how were you able to access this?
Well, so you can see, so there's the sealed pass. There was two entrances to it. There was a sealed pass in Nariak that you could get in. And then beneath Moradin, which is the dwarf city, was the mines of Moradin, and those would lead you into it. So then you would either, come into here in the troglodyte warrens or the magma pits, and you basically had to solve your way through all of these different zones as they got harder and harder, to reach kind of the end game, which was the labyrinth was a literal maze that then led to the vault of Relcerlis, the dwarven god, where kind of his ancient treasure hoard was. So yeah, I mean, we had it planned out, and we had it.
And I have all the zone docs.
Yeah. I mean, we had most of the
zone docs.
I just have. I just have this one. So this was kind of the 18 core zones.
Yep.
And a little description of each one. And this was like pre-production high level work where, I would work with the designers to put together something like this. And then we always include our additional zones. So this is stuff that would be hidden on the disk to be unlocked later. And some of these obviously were just placeholder names. This would not actually be called Evil Temple Time Warp. It was designed out, and I think some of the art had started being done for it and everything. I don't remember. I was trying to think before I got on here, but I do not recall how far we got in the actual development of it.
So were there any plans to bring out like a new class or race with this too?
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't know that if we had gotten that far of it. Again, I was, kind of like mostly on the content side of things as opposed to the system side. So, lore, story, zones, factions and stuff was my area. As far as any new classes or races,
I don't remember any. It didn't mean it didn't exist. Lawrence would know better probably than any of us.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I had already left for Champions of Norath at that point, so I wasn't there for any of that.
Amazing game, by the way.
Expansion. Oh, thanks.
Oh, such a great game.
It was the best way to take an EQA break was Champions. So
yeah. Very, very different game, but super fun to work on too.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is the right place to interject, but do you think that if EQA had continued to have more expansions, we would have gone to Feydur and Velius and Kunark and all those? Do you think that it would have expanded into those EQ1 territories?
That was kind of the plan. And, we talked about the idea of having to do almost like the old school PC thing. Now insert disk 3,
Yeah.
Based on where you go in the world. I think, especially when we were designing Underfoot, we wanted to do more stuff that PC EverQuest never touched on. The world we brought together, was very much taken directly from that and modified to fit our setting and technical requirements and all that. But I think at that point, we kind of wanted to do more of our own stuff. So a lot of the direction we were looking at is like, okay, what's something that it would exist in the Norath lore and world, but hasn't been explored yet? And then I think it took PC EverQuest, like 15 years or something to come out with their Underfoot expansion. They eventually came out with one. I heard it was like expansion number 17 or something crazy like that.
Way down the road.
Mm-hmm.
In March of 1999, Sony Online unleashed Everquest on the PC, and the massive multiplayer online role-playing game was born. With the ability to support over 2,000 players per server, Everquest became an immersive world of dungeons, towers, crypts, and evil abbeys. There, players could customize and build their characters and begin a quest in a massive fantasy world. Since its release, Everquest has garnered many awards and become a favorite of the online world. The fanbase has grown at a frenzied pace, with players creating their own fantasy character communities, selling and trading imaginary items and spells on online auction sites, and even organizing Everquest conventions where fans can really get into character. And now, console owners will be able to make the leap into this incredible fantasy realm when Everquest Online Adventures makes its debut on the PlayStation 2 in spring of 2003.
Everquest Online Adventures was designed to be a virtual world that could be played from your living room on your PlayStation 2. The core design philosophy behind it was that you could get in and out of it and have fun in 20 minutes or less.
It's kind of like chess, where you can learn it in a few minutes, but to really get into it, it can take, years.
The goal of the game is to just adventure with others. That's really what the game's all about, is to log on, find people that are like you, and to play the game.
And the idea is that we create a space that really looks and feels and acts like a real world. And all of the people that you meet online could be from anywhere in the world, but you've all come to Norath to play the game.
Up for some role-playing? Grab your copy of EQOA, throw it in your PlayStation 2 with a memory card, and get online with the network adapter. Then let the creative juices flow. Choose the race of your character. Do you want to be a dwarf or elf, gnome or troll? All the staples of fantasy fiction are there to suit your whimsy. Pick a race, customize and accessorize your creation, and you're ready to hit the cart paths of adventuring.
You can play Everquest Online Adventures in one of two ways, either as an individual or as a team member. Most people do both. Alone is playing around other people. When you go into the city, there are still other human beings who are in there trading or talking to you. It just means that you want to do your own adventure and you don't really want to be bothered with other people. The other way to play is joining up in a group or a guild. This is the way that a lot of people find most rewarding. That way you get together with a group of friends and you go and adventure in a dangerous dungeon, for example, that you could never possibly do on your own.
Playing EQOA requires quite a bit of communication between players online, and with the PlayStation 2, you have options.
In order to communicate with other players, you chat using a USB keyboard or with a controller using the hot buttons, which are keyed to certain commonly used phrases. But mostly you just type out and you just communicate like how you would in a normal chat room.
This new version of EQOA will contain some new wrinkles, especially in time, like about 500 years worth.
The existing EQ PC players, they have this rich knowledge base, and to find out what preceded all that is very exciting.
The reason Everquest Adventures is set 500 years before the original Everquest is we wanted to explore what happened to the elves. In Everquest, in the current time period, the elves had split into two. That part of the history 500 years before was pretty murky and has always been very interesting to us. So we set adventures at the time of that split.
Time also needed to be shifted for the accelerated speed of gameplay on the PlayStation 2.
We tried to take the EQ experience and translate it for console players, so combat encounters happen a lot more quickly and a lot more frequently. We wanted to make a combat system that was fast, real-time, that required some controller skill, so that the meat of the gameplay didn't require you to do a whole lot of chatting.
And then there's the time saved by playing in one colossal zoneless world.
We came up with like 8 different, completely different looking types of areas for the game. Then we had to mesh them all together because they all have to transition into one another, down to the bottom of the deepest dungeon, to the top of the highest, volcano or mountain. You will never experience any kind of a load, a pause, or anything that will interrupt your gameplay. So once you get in the game, you're there.
There's a lot more different things to do because this world is so vast. We've got a brand new quest system in Adventures which allows us to fork and have many, many more quests than we did in the original Everquest PC.
Even if you have the time to discover all there is to know about EQOA, you'll need more of it because this world will be constantly evolving.
One of the ways we keep the game fresh and interesting for players is we just add content all the time. More and more things to do, more and more skills, more and more adventures, more and more creatures, which we roll out every month. That's part of your subscription package. It's almost like getting a sequel to a game every month.
Obviously, you can spend a lot of time playing EQOA, and you'll run into a ton of people. But what will you have to show for it?
Everquest is all about the players. They really are the ones who have created Everquest. They're really the ones who drive the world and make it fun.
It's basically a social interaction. The exploration and excitement of these games is outpaced by the friends that you make.
It's just like playing like a pickup game of basketball. I mean, you go out with your friends, you fight monsters. It's really pretty cool.
People get together and like to work together, and they form very close-knit friendships. Sometimes the group's up to 200. It really does become a little living, breathing society. And it's so much fun to see this little world develop and people just having fun and communicating with each other inside and outside the game.
It's time to slay the dragon.
About time. Anyone else on?
We've got 12 of the team online.
Yeah, let's do this.
You can become a hero and join thousands online in an epic adventure. Everquest Online Adventures, now online for PlayStation 2, rated T for teen.
Good evening, everybody. This is our 20th anniversary episode. It is February 11th, 2023. I'd like to thank you all for coming out. And we have a very fun roster with us tonight. So to start things off, we do have Jer with us. Jer, say hello.
Hello, gang. It's party time.
And of course, back from high demand of the age group 18 to 88, we have John.
Hello, everyone.
And another familiar voice, we have Chris. Chris, say hello.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
And we have two fellas who have been working in the background. We have Devin. Devin, go ahead and say hello.
How's it going, everyone?
And we have Matt.
Hey, everybody.
Now, if I were to say that's everyone for tonight, I'd be lying. We do have a guest of honor from the Architects episode. We have Michelle Butler, who is one of the OGs of EQOA, and I'll have her introduce herself again, just like last time. Go ahead and take it away, Michelle.
Hey, everybody. How are you tonight? Welcome to our 20th anniversary.
Yes. So
what a crazy night.
It's crazy.
If you could just let the crowd know, in case they didn't watch Architects or looked you up, what you did on the game, that'd be wonderful.
Sure, absolutely. So I was part of the original design team, both for Everquest and Everquest Online Adventures. EQOA is dear to my heart. Probably the favorite game I ever worked on. I'd venture to say about 50 or 60 of the zones that we have, I had some part in doing. Many of the quests. I popped Havlat and Telethon among some of the other starting groups. Those were my two main areas. But that's a brief introduction, and thank everybody for coming.
So glad to have you.
Big time.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
If anybody has any questions in the chat for Michelle, go ahead and just shoot it there. We can't get to everything, but if your question's in the chat, we might be able to get to it at some point during our show. We have all these wonderful videos put together by Jeremiah, and it's very lovely. He's going up, he's going to all these different zones, first person. It just pulls back a lot of memories. So I just want to take a second to thank Jer for all this pre-done work. A virtual pat on the shoulder to you.
My pleasure.
We got a jam-packed show. We got like 10 things to give away. We got Michelle. We've got the usual gang here. We've got development updates and what's going on. So I hope everyone's got a drink. I'm not going to pause for anyone. You're just going to have to sit there. It's going to be like watching Wakanda Forever. You got to sit 2.5, 3 hours and just take in the whole thing, or wait until we edit and upload it to YouTube. To be determined.
Yeah. One little side announcement, if I can interject, is that Guitar Hero was going to be here tonight. You might know him as somebody who was in our previous streams, but he's also been our main NPC placement person. He had a baby recently. I don't know if he's going to name the baby Banjo Hero or Ukulele Hero. I'm not sure yet. We haven't heard, but but he was on the verge of a major NPC update, so that is coming soon. We don't have that tonight. I will talk a little bit about NPC stuff, but he's with us in spirit.
All right, and I just wanted to have Devin maybe just kind of introduce himself again to the community. If you can go ahead, Devin.
Yeah, sure. My name's Devin. I played this game since I didn't start at the beginning, unfortunately. I probably started in like 2004, right around when Frontiers came out. Played it for quite a while. I stopped playing and then came back in like 2007. Started dual boxing, and I was on Hotstock to start with. When I came back, the server was pretty much dead at that point. Moved over to Castle Lightwolf, and I worked my way up to playing with like 6 or 7 boxes at the time. And then, server shut down, and about 3 years after that, I kind of got involved in the development part, and just kind of been working on it ever since then, and just making small little strides here and there when I got the free time.
So, Devin, how would you categorize what you do for the Project Return home server? Obviously, that's complicated, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, the best way I could put it, just making like kind of similar to the original server where it interacts with what the client's expecting. We have a pre-made client here from the original game, of course, so the client expects certain things, everything to be ordered in a certain way, and we have to pretty much build the server to do that, along with accommodating everything else, so creating all the networking and everything like that to work as the client expects and hopefully give you that same experience when we were originally playing.
Cool. And we also have somebody you work closely with, Matt. Would you like to tell us what you do for this project?
Yeah, so it's been kind of funny. So I played from, I think, either beta 1 or beta 2, I can't remember exactly. And similar to everybody else, I took a break along the way, if not multiple breaks, and came back for Shutdown. Shortly after Shutdown, maybe like a year or two, I actually have some Facebook messages with Jer going all the way back to like 2013 or 2014, where I was trying to figure out where I could chip in, but my programming knowledge and skill just did not really cut the muster at the time. And it's sad too, because we always joke about it internally, where I had taken packet captures and had no idea what I was looking at and just trying to figure it out. And I kind of threw those away because I was like, oh, I don't know what these do. And everybody in the development group gets mad at me now because we're like, we needed those packet captures. So now, so Devin now, I always refer to, he does most of the infrastructure pieces as far as like networking and the really technical stuff. Typically, I'm usually more involved with trying to implement features, and it's always a point of contention with us because I'm like, I want to implement a new feature, and Devin's like, but we need to do it the correct way. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound fun. And so that's kind of what it is right now. Obviously, we've been really excited to have Jer and Hardcore Hero and Rec and bunch of other people come on lately for content and testing, and so that's been a neat journey in this development cycle.
Yeah, it's been an interesting collaboration. A lot of people have come together very recently with different angles and talents. I'm so thankful for you guys and all of the work that you're putting into it. It feels like we have a lot of momentum right now, so thanks. Were there any questions that we wanted to interject at this moment?
It's up to you if you wanted to.
Is there like a question that Michelle...
Yeah, sure.
For Michelle at this moment? Is this an okay moment for that?
Yeah, sure. We had one where it was the quest implementation much more streamlined in EQOA than it was in EQ? Yeah, so I heard in EQ they had to do some pretty crazy stuff like invisible NPCs or some quests. Michelle, if you want to go ahead and answer.
Oh, yes, it was. So it was much more difficult actually in EQOA. With EQ, because it was on PC, we had a more elaborate programming team in addressing issues like that. EQOA was really done on a string. Although we were all veterans, they came off of EQ to launch the development of EQOA. It was PlayStation, and MMO had never been done on a PlayStation. So a good portion of all of our tracking was like in Excel documents. It was all on a shoestring. It really literally was all on a shoestring.
Cool.
And I have one more group question if we want to hit that real quick.
Yeah.
So this is for all the hosts. What was the magical moment for when you logged in EQOA that hooked you? And this person said theirs was raiding the goblins in Havlat with the other players for a quest. So I don't know, John, you want to tell us what your magical moment that you fell in love with EQOA was?
Sure. So my first character was a barbarian warrior, because I was just, the classic fantasy trope or whatever. So I was like, okay, that's what I got to do, right? Like Conan or something. So I logged in and I just start running around. And a friend of mine who had told me about the game started, like, he logged in. I told him I was getting in, so he logged in, and we're chatting in the game. And I'm running around looking for stuff, trying to do like the, get me some rat meat or something like that. And then I was like, dude, I can't find this thing I got to find. And he was like, okay, follow me. And so we start running. And he takes me out the tunnel of Havlat. So at this point, I still haven't left the actual city. And the first thing I remember that like wowed me was I exited the city and there was like a whole huge world outside of it. I was like, I thought the entire game was in here. And now there's just this tunnel that leads me out to a huge, like seemingly endless world. So that for me is when I like realized how huge the game was and just like how much there would be to explore.
All right, Chris, how about you?
So I put one of my answers in chat, but I'd have to say the moment, mine kind of ties into that one as well, but I was a Kinos Quanos, human warrior when I started out. And I honestly just liked roaming around, going to bandits and everything. And then one day, some people, I think I had a few coaches. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to go back to Hollis. And I had never been there before. And I think I was level 17 or so. I was like, okay, so I'll go. So we ran all the way to Hollis. And I didn't know how to get back. I think I was the only human in Hollis until I was like 30. Because I didn't know how to get back to where I started. I didn't do any of my quests or anything. I was like level 35, and then it's like, yeah, I should probably go home. And that was after a month and a half, I think. So, just being able to get lost and do fun little things, even if it's farming aviacs or for that elusive item, I think it was just setting up your own quest and your own story for that day.
Yeah, that's deep. What about you, Jer?
I started my character Jamu in Kinos, and the moment I realized that there wasn't any zoning like in EQ1 and I could just keep running forever and there was danger if you went too far, I was immediately hooked within the first day for sure. I loved EQ1, but I felt this connection to EQOA that was just different, and there was definitely a level of magical, something wondrous and adventurous that hit me really hard, and no other game has done that, so that was it.
What about Devin?
I think I got a similar as everyone else, or not everyone, but a lot of people. Barbarian Warrior. I was at a friend's house hanging out so long ago. I think I was like 12 years old. And he's like, hey, check out this game. Started playing it. First server I picked, Castle White Wolf. First thing on the list, Barbarian. Or I guess Warrior probably wasn't because it'd be Warrior, Rogue, and Shaman. So made my way down to Warrior, though, for whatever reason. And just started playing or ran out in the world. And it was just, I don't know, just went home. I was like, I need this. Conned my parents into buying the game, paying for the subscription, and was on the ground running at that point. I mean,
the old guilt trip. And Matt, you want to add into that too?
Yeah, so mine is almost like a dumb thing. So Everquest Online Adventures was my second or third online game, because I played Diablo back in the day as well as Phantasy Star Online, but it was my first true MMO, and I had no idea what to do. And so I created a dwarf cleric, and I maxed it on strength, because as one does. And I was running around, and so there's this place that I just used to absolutely love to grind at early levels, and there's these spiders that are over on like a waterfall or something stupid over by Moradem, between like the monastery and stuff. And I used to love to go over there and just beat on spiders. And then there came a time where I was trying to get in groups with people, and my heals were obviously very insufficient. And so I was constantly, people were like, no, we don't want to group with you. And I had no idea what was going on until somebody finally told me what I needed to do with stat distribution. I was like, this game is so much easier than I thought it was. I was wondering why it took me like half an hour to kill something. Kind of the whole thing with what you were talking about with this whole world opening up is the RPG aspect of how deep EverQuest is and how deep its systems are. That's kind of what hooked me, and all the various factions. So obviously the world hooked me just kind of like everybody else, but it being one of my first deep experiences into RPGs was really exciting.
Yeah, this was something for my best friend and I to really sink our teeth in, because we played the original EverQuest together, and I remember how excited we'd get buying the expansions, because for a while they would always have added cloth maps, keychains, a lot of really neat stuff. And then we saw the commercial for this game, and a similar boat. It's like you got to figure out either how to buy a game card or use your credit card at the time. Anyways, responsibilities, who cares about that then? So besides that, we ended up only finding one copy. We flipped a coin more or less to see who was going to get it, but we both sat there, and we sat there for hours playing together side by side, swapped the paddle back and forth, rolled an elf, did the quest, couldn't believe like the town and how cool it was set up, and then how everything was in the trees and connected with little bridges. We went over to the wasps eventually, and like we just lost it when I think there was like an uncommon that dropped. And I remember him that following weekend, he was calling everywhere, because where we lived, it was country, and a lot of the stores had the game sold out for like the first month. So we had to drive an hour and a half away to get a copy. And he got one. He told him, "Listen, like, buddy, obviously you can't do that now, but he said, I'll literally show up. I'll give you $10 cash. Just hide the game somewhere in your store. I'll get there. I'll come pick it up, and I swear I'll give you this $10." And he got it, man.
Bribery will get you everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we played this game, and we're still best friends to this day. He still loves this game. He can't wait till it's back up and running. And yeah, and here we are. All these different people across North America, our community together, talking about it, and we're all meshed somehow. I don't know, Michelle, if this question, since you helped create it, I don't know if you can answer it fairly, or if you can say, well, this is what I liked about EQ, and this is what I liked about EQOA.
Or even what was your first character?
Well, my first character in EQOA was a barbarian.
That's like everybody.
Well, so traditionally my GM characters were all elf and elven, and in original EQ I almost always played an elf. But so going back to original EQ days, for those that do or don't know, my husband was one of the original 16 players of the original Everquest. And he started as a barbarian. So I spent a long time before EQOA was even a thought. I spent a long time watching him and his groups play a barbarian and fell in love with Hallis. And then I became friends with some of the original creators of Hallis when we moved into San Diego to work with that team. And for me, for whatever reason, Hallis seemed to have a very interesting history for me. So when we opened EQOA, the original team wanted to be very dedicated to making sure we got all the stories right from the original EQOA, because we were set 500 years earlier than original Everquest. So things like McPherson's Bloody Blades was true in the original Everquest, and we came 500 years earlier. So working with those guys, Hallis was really dear to my heart. And so are the guys that created the original Hallis.
Awesome. That's great.
All right, Jer, I'll let you take the steering wheel here.
All right. Sounds good. Guitar Hero was going to have some NPCs, and I was going to show those off first. We didn't have those, but I did want to touch in on another topic. This first part is just demonstrating to everybody what a wildlife sample is, because people run into these all the time and don't necessarily know what's going on. And basically, we take that sample, and in certain moments, we spread that out throughout the field. Sandstorm and Project Return Home might handle this differently, but what Sandstorm does, and it's just in a couple of zones, is it when a player is nearby. So, for example, this is the Moradham zone. When a player gets nearby, it grabs one of those samples and it spreads it out over that area. There's only a handful of these, and I'll let the PRH boys comment on this if they have anything they want to add to it at the moment. But you can see how a grid of mobs just popped up there, and that's because my character coming in from the east of Moradham is coming through over the mountain and is near enough, and then so the game grabbed that sample and is populating that with mobs that are roaming around, and now I can target them. Notice that the zone that I was coming from was not populated because that zone had not been set up. So part of what Guitar Hero does is he goes and he builds all of these samples throughout the world. He's not literally placing every single monster in wildlife in the world, all of the wildlife specifically. He's making samples. But he's done a ton of work. I mean, I don't even know the number. I know that their number is upwards of 15,000, maybe he's up to 20,000. I don't know the number. I'll let him tell us on his next update, but he's got a massive update for us. And then, so the next big topic is general dialogue. This has been my baby for a while. I have had a couple of helpers in recent times, but I've largely been focusing on general dialogue. I was working on quests for a long time, and I paused that specifically so that we could bring the world to life with general dialogue. I have this really specific method of going and researching everything I can about a specific race. Like I'll focus on a zone at a time, and I will then I'll go look for everything, any video footage that may have been captured of original footage, and I'll put that in, and then I use the combination of those things to influence the dialogue that I'll put in for that city. It's mostly been starting cities. There's been a few smaller locations. I try to make my guards more interesting than just move along citizen. There's a few of those in there. I try to have them be helpful, like either to tell. So her guard Crispin will tell a little bit of his thoughts and feelings on criminals here. Try not to talk all the way through this. No one ever escapes Kino's prison, right? Yeah. So I try to make the guards more interesting, so that if you're in the game, you should be motivated to go talk to a guard, even if, and I don't know what the this is very interesting actually to be in a conversation chat with Michelle, because we talked about dialogue stuff over the years, but I'm following in the footsteps of Michelle. I'm literally in a conversation with her, trying to do something that's, I could never rise to the occasion of the original writers, but trying to find something interesting that will both appease the EQOA crowd and be something interesting that you would experience. It's been a crazy challenge and kind of a long journey. It's taken a long time. I don't know, Michelle, do you have any tips for me?
Well, the one thing I will say is you have been able to keep it alive when I couldn't.
Okay.
So we certainly appreciate that. The work that you guys have done is just absolutely amazing. And for those that are in question, the entire team, from the entire original team, the entire SOE team, all of the managers, all of the presidents, vice presidents, everybody, we all played EQOA. No one wanted to shut down EQOA. It's a long story, but we all cried the day that it shut down. From designers to presidents, we all cried. It was a matter of changes in laws with regards to credit cards, and it had to be a financial decision that we could not update the game. So it had to sunset, and it was rough for everybody. For everybody on the team, as well as for all the people that were still playing. We knew it. But you guys have done an amazing job. And thank you for the people in chat for following us all these years.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate it.
I think a lot of it too is with so reading the new dialogue and whatnot, I'm liking it, and I can't wait until I can read more of it. You figure, I think I say now that I wish I would have taken more time to read it when I was actually playing the game and learn a lot. I learned a lot from the quest, but not who Basher Rux was or anything like that. And heck, if we'll sit through Dark Souls and talk to an NPC 50 times just to get an action change, I think we would definitely enjoy, to take the time to read thought out text. So good job. Well,
So long story short, although Jeremiah and I have had hours and hours and hours of conversations, every single word that was ever spoken in EverQuest Online Adventures is in written text and does exist.
Behind a vault. behind the Lord Ceralis and 2 other bodyguards. Yeah, encryption, 256 encryption, but it's there.
Yeah, we joke all the time.
Unbelievable data and notes, and everything that we did, everything that you saw, all of the stats of every item, it's all documented.
Well, we talk about all the time that somebody somewhere has got a server in their basement. If only we could get our hands on that server in somebody's basement somewhere.
Well, we live in California. It's not in a basement.
Yeah.
I'm sure my best friend will chip in $10, guaranteed. Yep. Canadian, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Throw in some maple syrup.
Sweeten the deal.
Sweeten the deal. That's right. So some other bits here is just as soon as we finish all the general dialogue, I don't know. Michelle, do you know how many speaking NPCs there are in EQOA? I'm guessing it's around 3,000, but I could be mistaken. Just ones that have any sort of dialogue to them. Maybe you can't say. But
I do actually know the exact number, but I'm at a disadvantage in that well, it's not so much that I can't say, it's that the box of EQOA data that I have is in a storage unit, and I didn't have enough time before agreeing to do this to go get that box. But there is data on exactly how many NPCs there are, how many trees there are, how many creatures there are, how many NPCs of each level. It's all documented.
Well,
unfortunately, I didn't bring it with me tonight.
That's okay. Well, we'll get you on Architects too.
Absolutely. Already volunteered to do that.
We're at about 14. We're at about 1,400 NPCs right now with written dialogue. Sonadin, a new writer that's helped. He did the Hallis, and he just finished Rivervale today. I'm most of the way through Facebire's Tethalin, which is one zone but 2 cities. It's probably the biggest. It's about 300 NPCs. I'm most of the way through, done with that. We'll be adding that to the server soon. I'm pretty excited about it. But it's 1,400. I was guessing that it was 3,000 based on what I could imagine was in the rest of the game after this. But after this, we will be going back to quests. We've written 270 out of 986 or 984, one of those numbers. And it's foreseeable that we can get this done. It's just a matter of time. And bless the PRH team. They are so kind to absorb this chaos of spreadsheets for me. They take my. I'm like, please, could you put this in? Could you please put this in? I'm begging them all the time. And they handle all of our. And Rec knows we break stuff on the server sometimes, and then they'll go and they'll fix it, and then the server's
5 minutes later.
Yeah, it's fixed and it's up and it's stronger and better. And I don't know how they do it. Well, hopefully they can talk about it just a little bit, but. So I kind of put a lot of dialogue here. Do you guys have any comments, Matt and Devin? Do you have any comments about this dialogue part? There's going to be a more technical section for you here in a second, but
so there's 2 things. So one, right now there is a I don't know if I'll call it a bug, but your dialogue chops up sometimes in strange ways. So the fastest way I thought to get dialogue based on the limitation of a text box was to just break on periods. So every time there's a period in any of your dialogue, it spawns a new text box. And really sometimes that's going to potentially lead to like broken thoughts, if that makes sense, where maybe 2 sentences have the room and belong in one text box, but that was just technically more difficult than I wanted to spend on it at the time.
Yeah.
And so if you see that in the game, that's why. In the future, I plan on fixing that, adjusting the text boxes based on something other than punctuation. But
I figured that was the case.
yeah, but that's where it's at for now.
This section is for you guys. This working features. I'm trying to do the features on your list. So anything you want to chime in about here, go for it. Devin and Matt.
Yeah, so the only other thing I was going to say is, so EQOA is designed, is at least with quests and dialogue, very differently than original EverQuest was. And so original EverQuest, obviously, the NPCs, talk to you and you can hail them through your chat box and things like that. And then you respond to them by saying like hot words or keywords in your text box. Well, being on the PlayStation 2 client, you obviously don't have that option necessarily. And so it's the communication you get from the client and how you parse that server side and then create sort of a stream of consciousness between you and the NPC. It can be somewhat difficult at times, and that's kind of so why we wanted to move you, if possible, to more dialogue to populate the world faster, because it's much more difficult to implement quests than it is to implement dialogue from the server perspective. And so you're able to churn out quests probably slightly faster than we're able to implement them. But dialogue we can implement very quickly because I've scripted all that to kind of ingest your spreadsheets. So yeah, that's all I've got on that.
Thanks. Devin, you got anything for us? You got any challenges you want to talk about, or how we bother you all the time to reboot the server?
Heartburn.
It's not that bad. For me, it's more of whenever you guys, something goes wrong, crashes it, I'm usually not at my computer to restart it, so I'm remoting in through my phone, trying to see what the exception was that caused the server to crash. Remember that for later, turn it off, restart it for you guys, get it going again so you can do whatever you're doing. Yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal typically for me. It's just trying to get back to it later, remember what I need to fix, really, if anything. But yeah, I don't know overall what has gone over. It looks like you're probably running through a quest. Yeah, a quest right now. I mean, there's all sorts of different features that are working. I'm sure they all have their own little bugs. That's why we got a couple people trying to help test out content, finding little things that are crashing the server here and there. We had what was just moving stuff in and out of your inventory at one point was like causing the server to crash. I mean, after sitting there investigating for, I think it was probably an hour or two, because that was a weird little one, eventually figured out what was causing that. Let me pull up a rough list of what works, or at least mostly works, real quick.
What's funny, you're talking about your conversations with Michelle and about dialogue, and me and Bwiz are always, or me and Devin are always like, man, I really wish we could talk to one of the developers so we can ask them, not for code or anything like that, but how does this work? Like, what did you do the first time? Because we can't figure it out, and we spend copious amounts of time trying to reproduce things.
Well, yeah, I think you see that in like the inventory for the client. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly which is which, but it looks like one side's using a dictionary while another side's using like a list to store the data. So like it sends you the key for an item, and then like all your items can shuffle around on the client. Those keys will stay the same, but then they'll have like different indexes for the client. So it's just like, it's an interesting thing to sit there and juggle of like, this is here, this is this index, but this has this key, and then you need to know what the client's sending you or what you're sending the client, so you're talking on the same lingo. And it definitely, that one took a little while to figure out what was going on there and exactly how to handle that.
Just going to interject a question that we got. Do you guys now have control and example ability to update, support, and maintain Sandstorm?
So Sandstorm is 100% in control by Xyloff.
Yep. Yeah, Xyloff, the last I knew, has not expressed any interest in entirely open sourcing his work. He shares little bits of stuff here and there if you ask him, but he's just never at large had an interest in sharing his work. And I say that, I think, partially because he seems like he's a very in my talks, in my talks, almost perfectionist. Like he didn't want to share something he didn't feel like was up to snuff. Yeah, it's not up to snuff. He doesn't want to release bad code, if you will, in terms of like the look and how it works. I think if you read somewhere, he's coded like 22,000 lines of code or whatever it was in like 3 months to get Sandstorm where it is. And I mean, it works great. He just doesn't want to share it in the state that it's in. And I totally get that. And it's going to take a ton of time to clean it up and get it to a point he'd feel comfortable releasing it, as an example. So I totally get that. So 50-50 for me.
Yeah, and just to be clear, so Sandstorm is written in a different language than what Project Return Home is, and so even if he shared more code, it wouldn't necessarily be beneficial because we would have to take the time to digest it and convert it, even though it's somewhat a similar language. But we at no point will be maintainers of Sandstorm.
Jared, did you want to add anything else to this, or
was there anything else on your list? Sorry, Devin, did you already read off your list of features that you were?
No, I can run through it real quick.
Okay.
So on the list, most of these things should be functional, assuming there's not little bugs that aren't hiding we haven't found yet. But buying from merchants, selling to merchants, you can move items and tunar in and out of the bank. We do have a issue trying to figure out exactly how the client handles stacking items. So you're farming TFGs and getting all those items and everything. We can't figure out currently how to get like separate stacks going. We'll get there eventually. It's not a huge priority right now, of course, but grouping, you're able to add, remove, boot, invite people in the group. There's a little issue going on with that as far as like if someone logs off the group leader or something, you kind of get like stuck in a group unless you leave it, but simple thing to fix down the road. We got stuff like NPC dialogue going on. Human magicians, I think we have quests up to level 15. You can equip, unequip gear, which also shows on your character, and I believe everyone else should be able to see it the last I remembered.
And update the stats.
Yep, and then there's functional stats. A little bit of issues there, but I also threw that together over a few days, I think. I'm currently working on hopefully doing a rewrite soon that's going to make the server more similar to how the live was, where if you ever remember, you're running around and you go to run over the boundaries into a new zone, and you might run in a little bit and then it'll rubber band you back and then it'll send you an error message saying like the server's offline or whatever it was exactly. Essentially, we're going to be making the same thing where we're hoping to have each zone in its own little process on the server, so that if something happened in a zone that caused it to go down, it's not going to take the whole server down. It's just going to take that one single zone down, so everyone else can keep moving along, doing what they're doing, and then that issue would have to be addressed at some point. And then some other quick things. We got like functional XP and everything, so you could level all the way up to 60. If you ask Rec, you can go over 60 and cause like weird graphical glitches, which will be fixed eventually. Coaching, teleporting, functional blacksmith. You can't break your gear, technically speaking, in the game yet, but if you did figure out how to do it, you could fix it. That's helpful, I know. Who list and some other little things that probably aren't that big of a deal at the time, but yeah, we're moving along slowly but surely.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much, Matt and Devin, for coming to this show tonight. And I wanted to introduce you guys and talk about PRH because it's been in the works for a while, and the community we've mentioned it to people, but this is kind of like an official introduction with you guys, and so glad you guys could be here too. Thank you so much. Was there anything else development-wise that you guys wanted to talk about at all that you want to chime in at this moment, or do you feel like you've caught us up for now?
Just a couple things. So Devin mentioned that about the server rewrite to implement the different zones, and so right now there's a few different priorities for me. And so the first one is this web portal tool to allow the content team. So Rec, Jeremiah, Hardcore, and I think Sonodin, maybe a couple others, to edit NPCs, because at times there is a discrepancy in the database with what it actually should be, and then also with items. Michelle mentioned that there is somewhere, someplace, a list of every item and every stat, and that would be beautiful because we have a lot of items that probably need touching up. And so that's my first priority right now, just so we can kind of not bottleneck the content team. And then once that's done, there's two big things that really need to get done on our server, and they're really big technical hurdles. And so one of them is going to be pathfinding. It somewhat works in Sandstorm for the most part, as far as mobs chasing after you and things like that, and finding their ways around trees instead of trying to go through them. So we need to get that implemented, and that's on the more difficult technical side. And then the other thing I'm working on is the state machine, and so that's going to help us allow NPCs and mobs and things like that to transition from one state to another, including dying, attacking, different animation states, all these different things. And so once those two things are done, which no ETA on, because like I said, they're both very big technical things. The server is really going to start coming to life.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you so much for the update, you guys.
Yeah, that was great. It's nice to have some new insight on what's going on, and then the progress that you're making. And obviously, it's very time intensive. So, Michelle, if you wanted to answer a few questions, we could use this as an opportunity as we let everyone know where we're moving in game to which mob we're going to take out first.
Going to Anyar.
Sure, happy to help. Feel free to ask.
If I may interject real quick, anybody who is in the game right now, please go to your sandstorm.kiko.tv if you have not yet, to teleport your character to Enraged Anyar. And then that's what we're gonna hop around to different bosses throughout the game while we all chat. That's all. Go ahead.
So, what question? So the last one we asked was what hooked us. So this one's going to be, okay. So I was always enamored with the all robes, ceremonial vestments, tattered specter, etc., and their initial mistake as being designed as all equipable items. I know the tattered specter was supposed to be a stack item and CV was supposed to be a healer caster only. Do you have any other insight on the lore of those? Like, what did the dev team say after they realized the errors? It feels like we just answered that one not long ago.
Yeah, I knew this was going to come up as well.
You know, simplistically, we didn't have a huge QA team, quality assurance, which bug checks us. Most every bug check was cross-done by another designer. So I would create a zone, and Bill Coyle was my cross-check, or Jeremy Ellis. So within the team, we didn't catch everything. And when we knew that there was a problem, we did the fastest thing we could to fix it. All was not an initial plan for design other than for common items. And that was a bug, and we fixed it as fast as we could. I'm seeing something with regards to Hallis and the question asked before. So most of the original zones were created by, they were named by a gentleman named Bill Trost, who I still work with to this day. Bill, a lot of those things came from a D&D group that Bill and his friends and a lot of college groups with Bill played in. So a lot of those zone names came from that. Many of them you can read forward and backward and figure out where some of them came from also. Does that make sense? I hope.
I like the one question. It's like, how much money do we need to give you to leak stuff? Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding. Yeah.
Well, so that's a double-fold answer. And the double-fold answer is, one, I'm still in the industry. So I still have to maintain my reputation and the integrity of that. But working with Jeremiah, when I say that we have talked hours and hours and hours, I mean that literally. Yep. It is one thing to share actual documentation. It's another thing to share a conversation. So like I said, he and I have talked as many hours as I think he may have been blue in the face at a few times. At one time I remember, I think it was I was on my way to Arizona at one point, and I think we talked on the phone for like 3 hours. So those conversations I can freely have whenever we choose to.
Someone said, can't they just sell the IP or the file right to somebody?
So no, they can't. And there's two reasons for that. Part of the file right is owned by Sony corporate, and the other portion of that is owned by Sony PlayStation. So So although we launched as Variant Interactive, i.e. 989, Sony PlayStation owned a portion of all of the game. And the two entities cannot come back together because one of the two entities no longer exists. So Sony Online Entertainment no longer exists. Therefore, she cannot sell her rights.
So does Darkpaw have anything over EverQuest rights or anything like that as far as...
So keep in mind, EverQuest rights and EverQuest Online Adventure rights are two different IPs.
Okay.
Very significant different. They share a lot of similarities, but they are different IPs. And no, Darkpaw doesn't own anything with regards to EQOA. We were 500 years before the original EverQuest in the date line. So the two do not, although we share similarities, we are not identical.
So we had a question, does her drive and storage have any data that will help with Project Return Home? Is she willing just to hand it over? Yeah, ding, ding, ding. We kind of hit that one already.
Well, but also keep in mind, so if any drive did exist anywhere, it would already be 20 years ancient. So reading a drive or reading a server or processing servers or those types of things would be next to impossible, but printed paper lasts forever.
So, okay, if you ever leave the industry, could we convince you to give us your box of dialogue?
You have to wait till she retires,
When I retire, yes, that may be possible.
Okay, all right.
Also remember,
I hope.
Yeah, also remember you're going to have to use like OCR technology because we're talking about paper, and so you have to process all of this paper dialogue somehow.
Yes, exactly.
Gonna get a big copier, big Canon or a Kyocera, stack them up. We're gonna have to pay someone minimum wage an hour.
Well, we're somewhat lucky in that Excel still exists, so we've got that.
Oh, and Jeremiah loves Excel.
I love Excel. I use Excel constantly. I spend most of my free time in front of Excel.
Excel is not as bad as Discord, but it has its use. I get frustrated with Excel too, but yeah, it is a wonderful tool once you get the used to it, because all the functions and stuff you can do with it. Yeah,
a lot of the back end planning, like the itemizations, the NPC populations, quest dialogue, quest mechanics, all of fishing, all of crafting, all of the gem healings were all done in Excel. We tracked everything in Excel.
Cool.
It's
Which
wild.
may not be what people want to hear, but that was the best tool we had at the time.
The primitive age.
Yeah, people ask like, "Can we get some updates?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've got Excel sheets. You guys want to see my Excel sheets?" And then it's like tumbleweeds. Nobody wants to see my Excel sheets. I'm like, I could put Excel sheets with EQA music in the background and be like, "Cool guys, look at all this," and nobody would watch it.
I'll watch it, Jeremiah.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Well, you got to remember, we were the first MMO that was on a PlayStation, on any kind of console. And so there weren't any tools that had previously been created when it came time to picking a footprint to create an MMO. So we literally had to, rip by eye at pen and paper. That's a lot of the things. That's how we shared, was pen and paper logs.
Awesome.
So I just want to throw this out to chat. If we can get a vote, what we'd like to see given away first. So just type in the chat, what would you like to have a chance at winning? So we've
Does everybody know the options?
So we've got. I'm gonna hold on. We'll go through here the slide of the different things that you could win. So we have
Jeremiah's like, can we win a box of EQOA dialogue?
Yeah. Michelle's files. Here they go. I know it's gonna start. Yep. So we got the T-shirt. We have the original box art We have the Frontiers map. And those PS2 games on each corner are not going with it.
That's all I wanted. Come on.
Yeah, I tried to buy a copy of Champions in Norath the other day, and I think it was like $80 on eBay.
We got some calls out for some map action.
Yeah, map. We've got the original map. We have the COVID and just cool wearing LFG mask. We have our LFG poster that Mr. Nostalgia has in his man cave that he showed off in one of his videos. We have the cover art for Frontiers. I think we spoke of this last time, how the European art is different from the American art. So the person standing in the middle is not an elf in their art, right? It's a... What was it again? It was a different race. It was mixed up. Anyway, so we got that. And we have a complete inbox original EverQuest manual. You see me, I'm covering up the account key, so you cannot take it. It's probably already consumed.
Gotta save that for later. You never know when you're gonna need it.
Yeah. Yep. And the 30-day free trial is not in effect anymore. This is
it's required
free for life.
For return home, right?
Yeah.
The
All
key,
right.
it's required for return home.
So what do we have? Mostly maps? And which map are we looking at, guys? Which one do we want to start with?
You should do the vanilla and then do Frontiers back to back.
Let's do it back to back.
Okay.
So I'm going to... We're going to share screen in a moment. Two different screen.
And just to be clear, you will not need a CD key for Project Return Home.
Yeah. All right.
Oh man, I've been buying all these for nothing.
It's very generous.
Whoa, wrong screen. That's better. I gotta switch those around.
It's not generous, it's selfish. I don't want to implement the check.
Oh, this is great. I use this exact same wheel at work for stuff.
It's Wheel of Fortune.
Yep. All right. So this is for the original map. And let's see what happens. Wob, 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 wob. Who do we have? Who do we have? Oh! Remba. All right. Let me just go back here. Give me a second.
Congrats. Nice.
Are they in the chat?
Congratulations.
Are you in the chat?
So I'll have to remove them here.
Maybe not.
Remba, are you in the chat? Either way, congratulations. So now we are moving towards the second map. Good luck to everyone.
Spinning this thing is going to give me epilepsy.
Conjugation. All right, so let me note that. This is so fun. Let's do one more. What do we want to get rid of? What do we want to get rid of next? Come on, guys. One last thing. And then we'll do some more later on. Should we save the LFG poster? Let's do a shirt. Yeah, we got 3 shirts, guys. So,
yeah.
All right, this is for an LFG shirt. There we go. That was close to overdose. It's rigged. Make note of that. Give me a second.
Norse Eisenhart.
So I will need these people to contact me either through our groups on Facebook or by email to
We'll try to track them down.
Yeah, we'll try and track you guys down. And if these aren't claimed, they will go forward to the next episode. All right, cool. So that was exciting.
Are we gonna kill a boss and do some more?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And guys, if you have any more questions, post questions for Michelle in the chat.
Michelle, what was your favorite place to write dialogue for?
Oh, I don't remember the name of the place, but it was.
I'll help you.
It was.
We can figure it out.
It was an area that you had to. Everything was misspelled. Like all the letters were reversed back and forth, back and forth. I want to say it was Dwarven, but it was like a puzzle that you actually had to figure out all of the answers.
Oh.
It took me days and days to write that.
I didn't.
I don't know that I've ever seen.
Sounds like cool.
I'll have to pull it out of some of my information and get back to you on that. That was one of my favorite places. My pyramids were the second favorite place, which actually I was just thinking about. I was talking to Jeremiah about it just a few days ago. I had a lot of fun doing the pyramids. Oh, and then the town that is alive during the day and dead at night, and they don't know that they're dead. Like I said, it's been 20 years.
Is that Sunnyvale? Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I like
was
that
it
place.
I don't remember now.
It was a
It's
little
in my
teeny
brain.
area.
Sunnyvale sounds right. I used to camp there.
Well, Sunnyvale,
Elephant graveyards I really had fun with too. The elephant graveyards were a fun place with the NPCs.
We're getting a lot of Sunnyvales in chat.
So then, was it your idea to make the Siliskor quest line all crazy?
Say that one again?
For the dragon and elephant graveyard, where his debuff debuffed everyone to have, I don't know if it was like 250 or 2,500 hit points, but that quest line was one of the funnest ones too. I think you had to run around elephant graveyard till you got pop-ups of different ghosts and whatnot.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that was an idea that I came up with during Halloween. Crazy.
Then there's the werewolf and the vampire quest lines.
Yeah, Bill Coyle and I worked on those. We were never. That was really risky for us to make people a one-way vampire, or one. The werewolf was really risky for us to do because we couldn't figure out how to reverse it. But
yeah, because there was always that time where it's like, well, should I be a werehunter or a vampire? And I never wanted to choose until the last minute. But I like the different choices. It made everyone individualized a bit more.
Well, some of that came from the original like D&D where you had to pick a choice. You had to pick a path, and it was literally a one-way path. And Bill and I pined on it for a while and finally decided, we'll make it really clear to everybody that you can't go backwards. So that's what we did.
It was exceptionally risky with the context that if you played Oblivion, that came out a little bit later, becoming a vampire in Oblivion was like hard mode for that game, for Elder Scrolls.
I was just going to point out, and it's something I see in chat, Saphira was not part of the original team, just so you remember. She came after us.
Oh yeah, I remember her.
There was one person who was very vocal in the forums. Was that Saphira, or who was it? Oh, ding.
So Saf was a GM. I remember her being a GM on Castle Lightwolf.
Saphira started as a GM.
Because I remember there was one particular person who would reply the most on the forums of the EQOA webpage.
I think it was her.
That was I think that was Zatoja the Torturous.
Oh, yep.
Yep. You're right.
So funny going back to the early 2000s. I used to troll the forums all the time looking for information.
Yeah, so Zat started with us as she was the GM of Hovar when I hired her. So I hired her and several other people, but she was the GM for Hovar for a long time. She was an elder guide when we hired her. And then we brought her over. She was excellent at keeping notes. So we brought her over as our historian on EQOA, which is why she was very vocal, because she had literally all of the answers for us.
Awesome.
She and I are still friends to this day.
Yeah, it's amazing. You are like the super networker, I think, out of everybody that you've worked with. Like, you've somehow kept touch with all of the people that you've ever worked with somehow.
I do, because I was kind of everybody's mom. I'm pretty much, I'm old. I think I'm probably the oldest one of all of the team. And I talk to all of these people fairly often. Unfortunately, more often than for funerals than anything recently. But yeah, Zat and I talk still a lot. Her real name is Lydia.
Awesome.
Well, let Lydia know that I'm sorry I made her life hell. No, I'm just kidding.
Platt, didn't you, were you telling me that you got rooted once? Somebody told me. Well, I thought it was you. You got rooted.
I was, yeah.
A GM popped up and rooted you because you did something. I can remember.
Well, it was, yeah, no, I think what it was, I don't remember, but I remember farming Darren Hold. Yeah, so my friend and I were farming the guards for some reason, and she showed up, and my friend was just talking bad to her, and he had some red boots on that he had given me, and he was mad because he was saying,
you cut out. We lost you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, something happened and we got rooted, and I think it was because we were mouthing off, but I can't remember right now, but I've had some moments throughout the years.
I was going to say, what could you possibly have done? I never remember getting in trouble in the game ever once.
I remember seeing people get in trouble for training or item duping and things like that, but I was never into that.
Our biggest infraction was if you break the immersion of the game, or ruin someone else's day for no reason. You know, I mean, ultimately it was a game. It was all supposed to be fun. And if you're gonna grief, or if you're just gonna, deny people another chance at a boss or something to that effect, or just be really out of line in text. Remember, you could cut and paste text to GMs. That was really when we started to hit down on people. Immersion was our big thing, because many people, they kick back at 8 o'clock at night, come on, and they just want to play for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, go around, have fun, be left alone, enjoy the game. If you start interfering with that, then you're interfering with our customers. And that is when you would really see a GM come down.
I always had positive experiences with GMs, and I think a lot of it was I loved the partnership, the worldwide events that you guys would throw on, from the invasion on Freeport to Lord Pickclaw, and the once in a lifetime chance at a wand that turns everyone into a rat. I liked those, world building events. Even the shutdown, I wasn't there, but different dragons and things like that. Just the care and nurturement from the game masters is what I enjoyed the most.
So remember, when I left EverQuest 1 to join EQOA. I was the head of customer service. I was the head of GMs when I left EverQuest to come to EQOA. So we took the GMs very seriously, and many of the manuals and everything I had a huge hand in writing. So the GMs that came on to Everquest Online Adventures kind of had my tailwind to deal with when it came to dealing with the player base, because I was pretty clear on what we wanted for our customers. And we could monitor all the players, but we could also monitor all the GMs. So GMs weren't supposed to, during our watch, weren't really permitted to muck off a whole lot.
It's fun to hear those stories.
Sorry guys, I had to log and go back in there. I had that little bug there where I couldn't see anybody.
Yeah, that happens on Sandstorm sometimes.
All right, so I'm moving out to Davo the Dark.
I think. Oh, Beepster was. Where did we go?
Grundle.
Is it real? Oh, Grundle.
Yeah,
Grundle. We met up at Grundle.
Home of the true
There was a
birthplace of the Neroid.
Beepster is doing a good job leading us to the next boss.
Okay, I'm good with that. If he wants to, sure. Yep, I'll just I'll transfer over there.
I killed this thing so many times. I made a paladin at one point, and my goal was to, for whatever reason, power level people at like gators and things like that. And so I wanted the breastplate of the Anointed so bad. And then the also the SK there's also the Shadow Knight one that procced. I forget what that one was called.
Seraphic.
Probably it, yeah.
Yeah, I was always out. I wanted the whole set of World Breaker armor, even if it was garbage. I'd like that. The red banded armor, I had to have it.
I thought it was hideous.
I loved it. And that and Rubicite. I had to have my full Rubicite chamois out there everywhere I went.
Oh yeah, I had Rubicite on my Bard, and I loved running around in plate armor on my Bard.
I was gonna say, I don't remember Grundle being this big. I remember it being like less than half this size.
So there's a question, Michelle, how much could you snoop on players? Could GMs basically see everything a player was doing, or were there limits to the privacy?
No, at the time the individual privacy laws weren't in existence. They didn't exist.
Also known as they saw everything.
You could see everything.
You're saying that you can't. Are you saying that there's a law now that you can't just watch a player in the game?
Correct.
But AI can. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Chat GPT can.
Yeah.
No comment.
Ding, ding.
Ding.
Bone Duke chest gear, is it supposed to have such a high durability?
I think that was implemented after our team left. Not meaning to deflect, but I'm pretty sure that piece was implemented after we left.
But it was super hard to get as well, from what I remember. I never saw the breastplate, I don't think. I remember farming hex bones for Bone Duke and Revenant, or whichever other one there was. And they were all hard to find.
So there was a comment saying, I remember when guides were implemented, player guides that I think were under the direction of the server GMs.
Player guides were under the direction of me.
There you go. Slap down.
Boom. They're right there.
Mic drop.
Player guides like baby GMs. I remember guides, but
I was the guide liaison for both EQ and EQOA. EQ, we had about 1,200. EQOA, we had about 200. Most of EQOA's guides were personally invited by the team, the EQOA team. Derek, are you in chat? Is that really you? I think we have another dev in chat. Oh, wow, Derek. Awesome.
Sweet.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming out.
Yep.
Hello, Derek.
Great to hear you.
We'll get Derek in on the next one so he can chat with us too, if he doesn't mind.
Sounds awesome. Sorry, didn't mean to derail everything. I saw his name and I was like, yeah, it's got to be really him.
Go for it.
Now I have to ask. So I've been trying to track it down for weeks now. So there was a hammer. Looked like and Jeremiah's gonna laugh at me because I was bugging about this in chat the other night. So there was a warhammer that had the steel two-handed warhammer look, but it was one-handed and it was like low 20s, it dropped in like running eye, and I cannot for the life of me find this item. And I used to love running around with my rogue. It was like level 23 or so. Anybody in chat remember this hammer? I need to find it.
I remember it.
Must find hammer.
But do you know the name of it?
I'm trying to look through what I have right now because it's that huge, really obnoxious one that you're talking about, isn't it?
It's big. It's not the stone column. There was also the stone column, which is different, but
it had like a curved top to it and was I think like really big. I'm trying to see if I have any pictures or anything of it because I've been digging through some weapons lately, but man, what was its name?
I mean, like, I can make it, like, because we can pretty much make whatever items we want on Project Return Home, but me and Devin are committed to an original, reproduction as close as we can get, and so I want this thing that I had when I was 15.
I honestly want to say it may have had Runny Eye in the name, but I'll touch base with you if I find it in any of my lists.
Sweet.
Where's all the commodities here, guys? There's no commodities for me to loot. It's been a while.
Look, you got some.
So, just for the in-game part, Beepster, you just keep calling out the next raid, and we'll all follow you. And if everybody else, if you just search Beepster's name, you can teleport right to him as he moves along.
Yeah, I'm actually was just gonna drop because I need to go get my son to bed. So.
Oh, all right. All right,
Stay up. It's the weekend.
Who wants to lead it? Rec, you want to lead us?
Chatting with everyone.
Oh, I don't even know.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks.
I veto Grass Snake.
Grass.
Oh, don't be a troll. Goodbye,
right.
Beepster.
Let's think.
What was for next mob? What was the thing that was like out in the water up near Windhaven or something like that? It was part of one of the epic quest lines, like a giant dragon or something.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of half of it too. Is if it kind of has to be in Sandstorm.
Oh, that's true. This thing popped based off a quest, so it might not be implemented.
Yeah, may or may not be there.
We could do Vox. What about Vox?
Vox. Good call. Oh, I have a question for Michelle. Were there any mobs that nobody ever got to see that were implemented, but the players did not do the correct prerequisite steps or quests or whatever?
No. Other than the 2 zones that we launched after the discs shipped, I don't think so. Those were locked, but.
What happened to the chimeras? The ones that you saw on the because there was Chimera and the Tyrant from the first Plane of Sky chain, but I think on some game art there's 2 like chimeras that are single-headed lions. And then there's also like a weird rainbow phoenix type of thing in some early game art, but I don't remember ever seeing those in game.
No, I don't think we had them in game. So we did have some NPCs that the team created that didn't actually make the game because we didn't have supporting art for them, or we didn't like the supporting art. That was a fairly low number, but they did exist. And there were some things along the road that we just kind of all looked at and we scrapped.
Were there any NPCs that weren't ever defeated? That were a mob, not like a speaking character per se, but something too tough to kill.
In the repop of ZP that I did, yeah. But that was only because it came down before everybody could explore what I redid.
Ah.
Aww.
Was Mar in your build of ZP, or what was the end goal on that end? If you're able to answer, anyway.
Stable Boy was never beaten. Somebody said in chat.
Yeah.
No, the Stable Boy was definitely never beaten. Well, in gaming.
I was gonna say we beat the Stable
That
Boy
had
at
its own
least once a
story
day.
to it.
Yeah, he took a beating.
Yep.
Yeah, he definitely took a beating. At least in the, he definitely took a beating in the chat channels.
We're gonna do another giveaway.
All right,
chat. So what do we want to move on to next? So we'll pop this back up. So we got rid of the map. So we've got the mask. We have the LFG poster. We've got the game art prints. We've got the original game, the box. What are we feeling?
Have we already fought Celiscore?
No, not so far. We going to Celiscore? What about the mask? How about let's get rid of that mask?
I think we'll get to the mask. We're gonna do the rest of the prints. We're gonna do the rest of the prints now. So we'll start with the original box art. Give me a second.
Trolls were gnarly, man.
Okay, here we go. So for the original box art print, there we go. Print EQOA LFG game box.
there's 2 Celiscores.
So Matt Collins, you are the winner. Let me make a note of that.
I think one of them's just the wayfinder point where he should be, but let me see.
They're kind of far apart.
I'll try the second one then.
That's where I'm going.
Well, there should be one. One was a quest spawn, right? Where was that? There's dragon worshippers, and it was a quest spawn over there. And then the other one is an elephant graveyard. The actual Celiscore.
Okay, yeah. So there's one in in Brog Fens, and then there's one in the graveyard. So which one do you guys want to go to?
I would say elephant graveyards. The Celiscore, I believe.
Elephant Graveyard it is.
All right, we're doing the next. So we're doing the Frontiers game box print. This is the print for the Frontiers game box. Congratulations, John. So what do we have?
Oh, not
left to
me?
print? No, not that John. A different John.
Oh,
we're gonna
got my hopes up for a second.
You might win something. You're in there. We're gonna do the LFG print now. So that big, cool purple one, buddy holding the shield. All right, let's rip it and grip it.
Used to hate the Spear of Annihilations.
That's
Now, those
real.
were put in- Oh, let's see.
All right, we'll do a few more when we're getting close to the end of the episode. So we had a question. Do we know the inspiration for the epic last bosses? Pretty sure Parathor and Lord Shardith were not in EQ1. It's for Michelle.
They were not EQ1, and that would be Jeremy Ellis, who came up with the inspiration. Well, I should say Jeremy Ellis and Bill Coyle did the 50 plus. And then Joe Russo did a lot of the back-end programming of those and the item drops and everything.
Parathor was awesome.
Definitely scary the first time you saw him. You run up to that mountain and you just don't think anything's going to be there. But even the Lord, he was crazy too.
Derek, chime in if you have a different memory than I do, please. I guess chime in is the wrong statement. Type in chat.
Michelle, I have a question for you. If you were, if you had done an expansion, if you were part of an expansion, and let's just say for sake of argument that it wasn't Underfoot, do you think that you would have steered EQOA in any specific direction or location or story? Are you aware of anything like that that you might have done? I know that's kind of like a complicated.
I have a side question to this too.
It's actually not complicated at all because our next thought process was underwater.
Oh, that's very cool.
Like maybe an underwater kind of city or dungeon or something?
Yeah.
That's neat. Well, can you tell us more or no? What
ding,
can
ding, ding, ding.
So maybe yes and no. Do you guys remember the shark named Hitler? Or no, I changed his name. What did I change his name to? I don't remember what I changed his name to. Anyway, so there was a historic shark, real life shark, in Florida, off the Florida Keys. And I was always fascinated by him growing up. So I added him into our game. And I don't remember what I changed his name to, but it was something offset of Hitler because we couldn't use Hitler. I always wanted to do something underground, like with the mermaids and the beautiful water. We just didn't have very much technology that would have supported us, which is why we started underground, because we could start with underground and then go from there. Hence Underfoot.
Did you guys have any plans as far as like, because I remember playing and I remember in Click Annan, there was always that, that hidden story of the Clockwork Dragon, and rumors of the Clockwork Dragon. Was there ever a story path to actually get a Clockwork Dragon? Because the stories were definitely building up. It's just I don't think it ever was actually added in.
Well, just kind of remember that we were 500 years pre-EQ. So anything that we did, we had to be very mindful of how it would affect the current, then modern day EverQuest. So if we created a dragon that didn't exist, then we had to come up with a storyline of why it didn't exist in original EverQuest. Our two teams worked really closely together, day to day. So we had to be very mindful of not to affect their timelines. So basically, no.
And see, this has me now wanting to explore more of the lore, because I know there's the original EQ expansion was the Scars of Vishan, and I don't think we have a Vishan in EQOA, right? Just a quintessence?
Correct. We do not. Vishan came after we did. Long after we did.
All right, I have a question. Since we just went to Quintashi, right, the big green merman guy, he dropped a trident that was for a barbarian bard only. Barbarian bards do not exist in EQOA. So what was that all about?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Maybe Quintashi's a barbarian bard and he just turned into Green Mermaid.
I remember it had insane stats on it, and it was barbarian bard only equipped.
You did right. To be honest with you, I really don't remember that NPC.
He's out in the what zone are we in?
We got him on the screen
Abyss
right now.
Sea. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I see him. Her. Him. Yeah, it's him. I definitely see him, but I sure don't remember him.
Yeah, it's a weird cave where you have to go all the way under, and I think even to the point where your breath goes out all the way, and you have to race into there.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to have some kind of either like the alchemist potions or the
I forgot about the alchemist potions
and stuff. Yeah, you couldn't be in here for long without dying unless you had something to help you breathe underwater. Or what is it, bards? Bards had a breathe underwater spell, right?
Yeah. They also had a ring in EverQuest.
I forget what the term is, but man, am I glad that EQOA does not have the same mechanic that Bards did for original EQ1. There's some sort of like mechanic you use your mouse to play your songs.
Like Guitar Hero?
I can't remember. It has a term. I picked up EQ1 a couple years back, and there's a specific term they use for it. To, like twirl your mouse to play them or something.
Nothing like power chords underwater, though. Am I right?
I remember having bards as my main healers starting out, and earlier when people were talking about their they had put into weird stats, I forgot to tell you guys that's why my main tank had the highest charisma, so that the NPCs would like me. Just saying.
Yeah, that happened to me too. My first barbarian warrior, I ended up deleting him because I put like everything into charisma.
Yep.
Because I just no idea what I was doing.
Hey, Guitar Hero's in the chat. He's asking for Avatar of Fear.
On my way.
Ooh, is that one in the game?
Yeah,
I don't see it.
We don't see it.
I don't think we have an Avatar of Fear, unfortunately. It was a quest pop, right?
Yeah.
Michelle, are there any locations in the game that you want to see? It doesn't have to be a boss. Anything that you haven't seen for a long time that you'd like to just see for a second? Or monsters?
Oh, all of it.
Yeah, all of it? All right. Anywhere that you're missing or thinking about?
Jeremiah and I were trying to remember some of the Easter eggs that I put in the game. But yeah, watching the maps that you guys did earlier on the intro, I logged in for the hour early to watch all the maps and everything. That was super cool.
Yeah,
for me, it's really interesting to see what everybody did before and after us. You know, well, I guess I should say after us.
Yeah.
That makes it a lot of fun for me. You know, the watch on the pencil drawings of certain maps that we did and all that. It's like, wow, somebody really thought enough to go draw that on a pencil. How crazy is that?
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of people who like have notebooks. You know what's really astounding is the sheer amount of notes and guides that people have. I mean, I see pictures all the time of people like, yeah, I have this whole notebook. I have this huge notebook that I spent years filling out with stuff about the game, and that was like a mindset, a personality that played this game. Is like they wanted to not just play the game, but to record their memory of it, record their notes, so they could not just remember it, but share that information with their friends, you know, and relive some of those adventures that they had gone through, because it's that intricate and complicated. Anyway.
Well, we've lost so much
of time, too. You could kind of see of our team's notes in the player book that we did that came out, fairly, well, I should say the player's dictionary that weighs 5 pounds. That was kind of the head dump from our team in provide the players everything you want them to know. That's kind of what we did with that book.
Yeah.
I think it's the thing we call the EQA Bible, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
The
I still
Frontier
have mine.
Prima guide. that guide is like, it's almost the game. Almost all of the game is in that book, like as a design. Like if somebody read that book and then tried to design the game from that book, they could get, setting aside the graphics, they could get a near facsimile.
That's what we tried to do. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But just thinking about all the material, we lost the time. So Sing's website isn't up anymore, right?
He has these offline apps that you can access.
Oh, okay.
We've got them floating around the community. I can get them to you. But, yeah, he had some good stuff.
Just so many people that were so passionate about this game and still are.
Yeah, we use the Wayback Machine a lot to access old sites sometimes too. You can still get on the EQOA forums with the Wayback Machine.
So after this, we'll do one more boss, and then we'll give away some more stuff.
Have we gone to Planet Disease yet?
I don't think so.
Is there anything there?
Question mark.
Not sure. I found a place I found a place that I've never been before. I don't remember, because I typed in fear. I guess I've never been to the Gulf of Oozed Marionette Theater.
Oh yeah,
That's a really cool,
right?
Is
that what it is?
A quest line.
Yeah, there's like a barbarian here that's 3 times too tall, and
That zone is named after Roger Oozed, who was Brad McQuaid's cousin.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Wow.
I think that's one of my favorite places. That little theater area is one of my favorite places in the game.
It
was super hard. It's super hard to get in there in the live server because those marionettes outside take like 0 damage to anything.
Oh, yeah.
They were only susceptible to arcane damage, I believe. Everything else, you'd hit them for like 2.
Dang. Yeah, I don't remember any of this.
That's where there was like an all shield that dropped off the marionettes there. It had super high AC. It was called the prop shield. That's what it was.
Oh, I remember seeing that.
And yeah, me and another guy used to just go out there and farm those, because they would sell for like 20 million or something like that, 50 million. It was crazy, but they were super rare drops.
Kind of like the 2-horned Ripper.
Right.
I absolutely love the 2-horn Ripper and used to farm for that all the time.
I got lucky getting one because before they got really big, I was on my enchanter in Freeport and I just shouted, "Want to buy all cleaver for my caster?" They didn't know it was that it was a sword, a 2-handed sword. I just said 2-handed cleaver, and someone had one and sold it to me for $5,000.
Oh yeah, they're worth so much more than that.
Yeah, I love that. That sword.
I want to say a farm was at Collinsworth Cemetery or something like that for that.
Yeah, I never saw one drop.
Well, they removed them from the game later on, or removed them from the loot table, I should say.
Chris, you want to do a giveaway? Oh, did we lose him?
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll do a giveaway. I'm just going to go to this next spot. Just give me a second.
Okay.
We're gonna move over to this. Festering Jack.
IOD. Did you guys ever see the shark in IOD, the Megalodon? I always heard it was out in the ocean. I never saw it though.
Yep, she exists.
Was Megalodon in IOD? I thought I remembered that off like the Kara Isles or something.
Maybe it was. I don't know. I never saw it.
I think it's Kara Isles.
Can you believe that, Michelle? After all these years, we players who play the game a bunch are still finding things in the game. I had never been in that water spot.
Can you guys go to Tox?
Yeah.
Toxulia?
We'll go there next after this.
Derek was asking to go to Tox.
Yeah, we'll head there
That's a
afterwards.
fun one.
All right, so we're gonna give away, let's say, 2 T-shirts. It's time
Sweet.
for 2 T-shirts.
2 T-shirts. You get to pick the size.
Any size.
We'll
One
custom-
size fits
Yep.
all. All right. Time for T-shirts. Postman Jack. Congratulations. And next T-shirt.
Sweet. Nice job. Hey, that's fitting with Festering Jack here.
John Cassidy.
Congratulations.
So we have the mask. Is the mask the only thing that's left? No, we didn't give away the game yet. So we got 2 things left. So we will do those last 2 things.
Next session.
Well, yeah, we'll come up. So we're going to do Jack, and then we're heading to a different zone after this, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
All right, Festering Jack.
I do not remember Festering Jack being in this spot.
It is possible. There's been a couple times where we found things and nobody has a recollection of it being where it currently is, and so that's part of the NPC, updates that we're hoping to do is maybe get things a little more right where they belong.
Yep, and this goes with the content. No matter how much we tried to get dialogue correct or NPC placement correct, we're going to find things, and the community is just going to have to say, hey, it was actually this other thing, this other situation, and we're trying, we're doing our best, but ultimately we're going to need everybody to help get it right.
So it's interesting. It's interesting because this room has like all of the roaming name spawns basically from IOD in it.
It's their house.
It's where they live.
Yeah.
They're having their own party.
Yep, union break. Well, after the enchanters could charm in IOD, and they had to hide out.
I used to love to come here on my necromancer and charm one of the what are they called? The guys riding the wolves.
Right.
The call.
Dread Rider or something like that.
Yeah.
You could they were undead, so you could charm them with a necromancer, and then you return home to click Anon, and then they would follow you there because it was close enough, like in map proximity.
I did that with the the centipedes in Lava Storm.
Yeah. Even could enchanters charm Impale even at some point the rare boss? I can't remember if I saw someone running
I thought
around.
enchanters couldn't charm names.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
John, did you want to lead to the next zone that we were talking about?
Yeah, take us to Tox.
I'm waiting.
Oh,
This is my favorite boss.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
So
I should be loading in there shortly.
I love how many times you try to get a raid group out here and you'd lose half of them due to black screen. So fun.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. But I still loved it. I think Tox is one of the best dragons.
So see, Rec, the Project Return Home crashing, it's a feature. We're trying to mimic live.
Yeah.
Right. Black Screen of Death by Blackborough. Make sure we put that back in.
Mm-hmm.
There was a question, I think, does anyone know the highest recorded hit points a tank is seen on a tank? Maybe 14.1?
No comment.
No comment. Oh wow.
No, this is a heated debate right here because I strive for this one too on my main tank on Platinumdrop, and I think the highest I could get was probably 13 something and some change with Alchemist Pill, but I think some had to get like 14k or even higher. Barbarian.
I was going to say, I want to say that the number is actually a lot higher than what the majority of players ever saw. Some of the premier raid tanks had some really obscene stats.
But then it didn't even matter. Like Kazakh Thul, one hit death touch you, you know.
Hardcore Hero says Ogre Warrior could get the highest.
That sounds correct to me.
Yeah, and I imagine later on in the game too, because when I stopped playing, I was about 13, but there was other CMs and other robes, and then everyone got those robes and weapons, you know. So I'd say probably 14.
Platt, you want to smack that dragon?
Oh yeah, no, I'm healer, man.
All right. Oh, okay.
There we go. We got the name for our episode.
Yep.
Smack that dragon.
Smack that should have been in the commercial.
I was going to say.
There we
the
go.
dragon.
Slay it.
The dragon.
Time to smack that dragon.
Can we just appreciate, though? I always like to dog on Final Fantasy 14 for this. Can we appreciate that there aren't any raid mobs where you have to like spin around 3 times, touch every lamp in the room, pick up all the Skittles off the ground before you can damage him?
Yep.
I'm surprised we never had our own Leroy Jenkins YouTube moment in this game prior to WoW.
Everyone's Leroy Jenkins in this game.
Yeah, because I remember people ruining raid. You know, it taking hours to, you know, Call of the Hero or to get everyone over in Lava Storm, and then for all of it just to be ended because someone decided to pull Kazakh Thul or Nagy. Just done. You know.
But the community was more tiny, so that person would get called out, never invited for anything. Like it was.
So I was actually going to ask Michelle because, interestingly, so I grew up in a house without computers, and so Everquest Online Adventures was perfect for me. And then we finally got a computer, and I got to try World of Warcraft, and I immediately went back to Everquest. But was WoW really a big competitor to you, or was it kind of a different market still being on console?
It was basically a different market, and keep in mind, a lot of the WoW guys we all knew personally, so we really weren't. Although we were general competitors, we weren't really super competitors. I mean, EQOA was out. Standard EQ was out when World of Warcraft was in beta, and many of those guys we worked with because they were EverQuest players, and I would get a call like, our entire guild is stuck in such and such a dungeon, and we're in French mode. Can you help us? And we'd be like, well, it's against our policy, but hold on. That's cool. Kind of thing. So, yeah, all those guys, it's respect in the industry,
Yeah.
And yes, the Bwiz team did play on a particular server. Derek would know.
And I think some of it too was, we had our PlayStation 2 one disc. We were golden. That time, a lot of the, what turned people off from WoW was 4 discs. You had to do this and do that, and it was just too much.
And also, EverQuest Online Adventures ran so much better at the time for me on dial-up than WoW did. And so...
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to a mob right now. We're going to go look at Impale.
Oh, Impale. Oh, you're... Record called out. Scott here. All right.
All right, where are we going?
Remember, were you assigned to Nameless? What was your server?
Who are we asking?
Single player party 1 or single player party. Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's what I thought. He was on Nameless. He was the Nameless GM for original EQ.
Oh. So funny. The market's become so much more muddied now than it was then when there was just a few MMOs, and now there's dozens.
Yeah, but our community hasn't become so our internal community within gamers, within developers, has not become muddied. I mean, there's still the understanding of those of us that have been in doing this for, gosh, I guess 25 years now. It's not muddied. We still know we all still know each other. We all still communicate. We all still respect each other.
And that's just amazing. So I'm a software developer professionally, and I know a handful of people who have been in the game industry, and a lot of them have burned out and moved into like productivity software and things like that, just because of how punishing the game industry can be. So it's amazing you've kept contact, and a lot of you have stayed in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week next to somebody, the team becomes really knit. A lot of us, these games were blood, sweat, and tears. And when I say that, I mean it literally. There'd be times we were working until 2 o'clock in the morning, and it'd be time to kick off. There wasn't a single place any of us could get food. So the old EQ days, we'd come over to my place and I'd cook everybody food. Or it'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning. How many frozen pizzas do we have in the freezer?
Oh, man.
Like Derek is saying, he slept in the office frequently because that is what we did.
And like crunch is bad now, but I think that the industry is kind of different than that. I don't think that maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think people are sleeping in offices anymore, right?
Well, they're not supposed to be, that's for sure.
Right, I was gonna say I don't think you're supposed to, at least.
But we definitely were. I can't tell you how many mornings I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, both for EQ and EQ2, and even EQOA. 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd go to Denny's and talk to the manager. I'd call them the night before and go, hey, look, I need 50 breakfasts at 4 a.m. And they'd fire up their kitchens because they were only a few blocks away. They'd fire up their kitchens to make our team breakfast. And we'd load it in my car and I'd drive it over. Or, the Krispy Kreme donut team did the same thing for us. And they were fans of ours. So, it was like, oh, can we take your picture? And be like, yeah, sure.
That's cool.
That is neat.
Rec, do you want to go to your one next? And then, Chris, do you want to do another giveaway?
Yeah, so we'll do Rex, and then we might Yoho, and we'll kind of wrap some things up.
Yeah. Scott, any last minute mobs? This is your shot. Scott.
Yeah, I'm on my way to Scott here right now. So I'm there. So you can go to me.
I forget. Was
I figure we might as well get
Canyons.
Yeah. Yes.
On the pile of gold.
I remember the first time I walked in here and there was like no dragon there, and I was like, there's definitely supposed to be a dragon there.
Yeah, this has to be the spot.
Yeah, so it was like, just camp this out because I know that's happening at some point.
There were times where I was camping days and I thought, that our guild understood the spawn patterns, but then you doze off for 1 second and there's another guild killing Lady Box right in front of you,
Right.
It's just one of those things.
So on Scott, I believe he was on a 24-hour timer because I knew when I killed him, I would know to log back in 24 hours later exactly, and he would be there every time. So I must have killed him probably like every day for like 3 weeks.
Nice.
So that's why we didn't see it.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't see it, because I timed it out.
You were the one logging in.
3 a.m.
So I have to ask, did we kill the dragon? Is the dragon in the commercial identifiable? And if not, have we killed him? Or if so, have we killed him?
Isn't it this one?
I think it was Silascore. Was it this one? Or what?
I thought it was
either this one or Silascore. It might be. It's one of the darker colored ones.
Yeah, we can't let that dragon go unpunished.
Yeah, gotta smack that dragon.
For his participation in the commercial, he has to be ended.
Time to smack the dragon.
So then, Michelle, was your team the team behind that did the event where they had a race? I brought it up on one of the streams before, but it was a race for the first person that could get a level 1 to 60. The fastest would get it was like a server-wide competition, and then they'd have a piece of armor named after them in ZP.
No, that was after us.
Okay. That was a fun one. I didn't get too far, but I
I think
enjoyed
it
it.
was after Alex also. So I want to say that was Saf's team.
Okay, so Ogre of Sparta in chat's asking about boxing, and so I touched on this the other day in the Discord. So at least for Project Return Home and that server only, we are planning to allow boxing. A, because it was part of the original EverQuest Online Adventures experience for a lot of people, and B, it comes with a lot of technical hurdles to make sure that people aren't boxing. And so most likely we will have boxing. Now, there's a lot of decisions, here and there about the specifics of that, and we're not really getting into any of that right now. We are also open source, and so in theory, if somebody wanted to, they could pull our code down and spin up their own server, and them or their friends, could play on it with whatever rule set they wanted if they had the technical capability to implement it. But yeah, boxing on Project Return Home will be a thing.
It's going to be, even if you tried to block that, wouldn't it be, the circumvention these days, probably?
So Project 1999 enforces it. And so the easiest way to enforce it is through IP addresses, because the vast majority of people have a single IP address for their home. And the way EverQuest 1 handles it, if, say, you have, a brother and sister or a son and mother or whoever that both live in the same home and want to play EverQuest 1, you can get an exemption. And our team is so much smaller than theirs, and I just don't know that it's worth it. Like, I feel like there's a large technical hurdle to boxing with PCSX2 or with trying to dig up, super old, thick PlayStation 2s, and so I just don't think it's worth all the work to try to block that.
Yeah. Chris, are we doing one more? Or are we you yo-hoing or what?
There was a few spots that Michelle was talking about the other day. I don't know if Teth was one of them. I think Hallis.
Yeah, the Hallis newbie zone.
You want to go to Hallis? You want to go see Hallis?
That was probably my favorite place. That and Teflon.
Am I teleporting to the Hallis announcement post?
Or Volgo is right at the entrance. Captain Volgo. Anybody wants to type that in?
I'm just giving her a little look around over here before I go to Hallis. Yeah, this is what got me into the game big time. My buddy and I. Everyone's rolling barbarians, and here I come with the elf.
All of those things that you look at, keeping those NPCs on those walkways was not easy.
No. And I was up here so often, and I would always make the wrong turn coming to this area, this blacksmithing area, and I'd be like, for frig's sake, and I'd be like walking back, and the camera would hit a certain way in this corner, and I would just fly right off here, and then I start swearing again.
Yep, it turns you.
So see that smithy that's behind it, that was behind us? That he came after us. That was not a naming convention we used.
We had lots of time spent at the hornet's nets, all the wasps, queen, looting the needle.
Mm-hmm.
So the other question that was just brought up was, about one person boxing on a server of 1,000. And so Michelle earlier mentioned that, a big goal of theirs was not to break immersion and not to ruin other people's experiences. And so as one of the developers, I won't be doing it. However, we're hoping, to have some GMs and guides and things like that to ensure, that we don't have somebody that's just boxing people out of any of the content for long periods of time. I think there's ways around that we can handle through community.
Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah. People will step up.
Do you see the Taylor McQuaid?
Oh yeah.
Anybody recognize the name?
I assumed it's
Brad McQuaid.
It sure
That's
is.
what I assumed. Yeah, I was going to mention that earlier. That was a big loss to the industry. That was going on 2 years ago now.
Yeah, we lost Brad a couple years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And O'Leary is after Alex von Minden. O'Leary was his GM name. Well, I don't remember if it was GM name or player name, but that's where O'Leary comes from. Wow, the memories.
Yeah, this one was done very well. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Excellent work.
Yeah, for me, from the time I started playing until till the server was sunsetted.
Oh, there's McPherson. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
That's
this was my home.
McPherson's Bloody Blades.
McPherson's Bloody Blades.
It's really cool hearing, you know,
Also
some of
known
the,
as Sean McPherson.
it's really cool hearing some of the backstory to this. That, you know, there were, you talk about blood, sweat, and tears going into it, and you know there's some of the left behind blood, sweat, and tears to enjoy.
Oh yeah, you gotta have an Olga in here.
McPherson has one of the odd bearskin capes that he has was named after the original one that was in original EverQuest.
Michelle, was there a book or a movie or something that would influence how you would have the barbarian speak, or did you envision any particular voicing style or anything like that? Dialogue style?
For no reason.
A lot of that was set by the original EQ1 team. All the lore that we did in our game, I worked really closely with the original team on the lore and the conversation, you know, the talking habits and all of those types of things. I mean, Sean McPherson was a walking barbarian. You could just have a conversation with them and know how they spoke.
Somebody asked in chat about population during the end days of EQOA, and the 10,000 number. I think we're far away from that. I think we were well into the low thousands by the end of days.
Yep, there he is. It even looks like him.
Blacksmith McPherson.
All right, I'm gonna let's yo-ho, and then we'll get rid of the rest of these prizes.
Yo-ho.
So what do we have left? We have the mask and the complete game. I don't think I'm missing anything else. So we'll do the mask and then we'll do the game. I love how like every time, so I'm using Streamlabs, and every time I start typing, I somehow go straight to the giveaway. Like just typing. I'm not even opened with the application, and it just goes to it. Anyways. So we're looking at the mask, one size fits all, and the complete copy. So we'll do the mask first. Okay, we'll bring up our
Wreck, you're the genie.
And here we go.
It was a fire giant.
So Michelle, there's a word quirk for the enchanters. In this version of Sandstorm, there's a spell that just randomly turns you into another tune, and so Wreck will constantly change form to something random. Yeah.
Hassler, you win the mask. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And now for the game.
Final item.
Great Gazoo. And that is 10 giveaways. That's 10 items. That's it.
Woo!
Awesome. Congratulations, everybody.
Congrats. Hey, we should also do a lineup picture real quick before logging out.
Yeah.
Where should we line up? Should we go up against the fence?
I'm super curious. How many people here were in beta? Or alpha beta, pre-launch?
I wasn't in it. I got to watch my friend.
I was in it.
So I forget whether I was in beta 1 or 2. I had a purple disc, whichever that one it was.
Let's.
I remember it came with a letter too. You got a letter about being selected.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let's line up out in front of the steps of Darver, facing the tree, and then Chris will get a little shot. Back to the building, facing the tree. Anybody's?
You want me to be on the first tier or down on the ground?
Oh yeah. Should we get up there? Let's go up right there next to Jasper and see what. Okay.
I can't see anybody, so I'm just guessing on where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop moving because like everyone's watching the stream and watching me, and they're like, "Stop moving, Havlat! Damn it, Bobby!"
I wasn't in the beta, but I was playing EQ1 when EQOA was announced inside of the global chat of EQ1. That's how I found out.
All right, we got everyone in, so I'm gonna do a
Got us?
screenshot. Give everyone 3 more seconds. And screenshot. Cool.
With my hand stuck.
Yeah, I know. Every time we take a picture like this, I always try to get I watch the stream so I can see if my fist is stuck in the air.
Yep, your freeze frame.
Yep. It's like the end of an 80s movie freeze frame. Yeah.
All right, so is there anything else to share development-wise, or we pretty much hit everything? Any? Do you guys have any last questions for Michelle before we end the night?
Happy 20th anniversary EQOA!
Yeah.
And thank you to Michelle and team for bringing us here 20 years later.
Yeah.
Yep. Wouldn't be here without you. Michelle, please go tell all the EQA devs that we say thank you. The whole community is like, thank you.
I certainly will.
Thank you.
And then also, you could even still go to our Twitch and send them the link, because this will be up for, I think, a week.
1 week. Yeah, 7 days. The Twitch deletes it, but we'll pull it down and we'll get it on YouTube. Yep. And Michelle, we'd love to have you back for an Architects 2.
Happy to be here anytime.
Yeah, or
Feel
even just another Adventures.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm happy to come anytime that you guys would like to have me.
This is awesome.
Thank you, everybody, for playing and for your support.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, gang.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for coming out to watch us. We had, I think, over 60 viewers at one point, and the engagement's been good.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to the LFG podcast from the EQOA Renaissance channel.